There's some chairs up here. We have some other chairs here.
I'll be the judge of that.
Terry, would you just close that door just a little bit for me, please? Thank you. Yeah, thanks. So, this is what I wanted to talk about today. 4 questions that we put to the sick. Actually, there's 5. And I'm calling from my favorite, Mark Napo, who talks about Native American shaman who have questions for the sick. And one of the things that I wanted to say is that I'm surprised. Are you surprised? My sister died last weekend. I know. Oh. But things do not happen in my family without hilarity. That's how we respond to crisis or difficulty. We either laugh or we cry or we do both. So my niece went to visit my sister. My sister was in a coma. And then my brother-in-law went to spend the night with her. And he came home the next morning at 5:30, and the people that brought him home said to my niece, "Oh, I'm so sorry." My niece said, "Oh, she's gone." Yes. And then my brother-in-law got up in the morning and he said, I don't think so. She was breathing when I left. So, sure enough, she was still alive. But there was this wave of information, oh, my sister had passed, and then this other wave of information about, no, she was still living, back and forth and back and forth. And my daughter emailed and said, "Is it terrible that I'm laughing?" Well, no, that's how we do things in our family. We either cry or we laugh or we do all of those things. When my grandmother died, I went to her funeral, and the minister was one of those ministers, you know? The hellfire and the damnation. And he had never met my grandmother. And my grandmother said to me, clearly, "That idiot. Tell him to shut up and sit down. This is my show." And I started laughing. I laughed at my grandmother's funeral. And I had sort of long hair, and so I let it drip down, you know, so people could think that I was crying. Because, you know, when people laugh and when they cry, they make very similar noises. You ever notice that? Well, my aunt, who was quite the character, she began to comfort me. And the more she comforted me, the more I laughed. Now, many of you would think that that's irreverent. But that's how we do things in my family. So there's 5 things that questions that we can have for the sick. The first is, how long has it been since you sang? The second is, how long has it been since you danced? The third is, how long has it been since you've told your story? The fourth is, how long has it been since you've listened to other people's stories? And the fifth, which is mine, how long has it been since you've cried? I want to share this reading by Mark Napo to just give you thought about where this all stands. Now, he had survived many surgeries. And he writes this: I was lying on a stretcher in a large hospital room after one of my surgeries. I'd just been wheeled in, rejoining 4 others, all mending in one open room. There was a deep silence as we looked at each other. There was only a slight breathing of machines and the clear drip of fluids and the hum of old radiators. Suddenly, an older man began to laugh, and without a word, our eyes bounced back and forth to each other. And one by one, we joined in what became a cascade of coughing laughter, interspersed with short moans with each laugh. Our incisions and bed sores poked us sharply, but we laughed and hurt and laughed and hurt, like a flock of broken birds dreaming of their next flight. That laughter was a raw and primal sort of song, an elemental way of giving voice to our suffering. It was remarkably healing. I learned a great truth from that unexpected chorus. I learned that even when we feel powerless, we can always give voice to our pain and hope to the slim, ongoing fact of being alive. We often underestimate the power of giving voice. It is real and sustaining. It is the basis of all song. It is why prisoners break into song. It is why the blues are sung. Even when no one is listening, it is the heart of all hymns and mantras. And it works as healing, not so much by being heard, but as by the fact that giving voice to what lives within, even through the softest whisper, we allow the world of spirit to soften our pain. In this way, the smallest moan in itself is a lullaby. It's giving voice to what we feel. The darkest cry uttered with honesty can arrive at the holiest of songs. So I want to just remind you that sickness is not necessarily physical. It can be body, but it also can be mind, and it can be spirit. And when we allow ourselves to move energy through us, either through song or dance or laughter or tears or speaking our story, we're moving that energy and we're healing in very basic, powerful ways. There's no right or wrong way to live our lives. There's no right or wrong way to heal. And I don't know about you, I still got places that need to be healed, and I suspect we all do. Otherwise, we join my sister. Because as a matter of life, there is the matter of pain. There is the matter of hurts and sickness. I often say we're only as sick as our secrets. And so when we give voice to what is ailing us in body, mind, or spirit, then we can move the energy and we can heal. So the second quality, or the second question that we have for the sick is, how long has it been since you've danced? And the dance gives movement to that stuck energy. I don't know if you've noticed, but all Aboriginal people, all Native people, dance and sing and chant because it's a way of connecting to the earth and connecting to the spirit. It's a way of moving energy. It's a way of healing. I don't think that we do enough dancing or really singing in our culture. We get stuck in our ways, stuck in our sickness, stuck in our pain and our sorrow. If we were to dance, if we were to sing, if we were to laugh, we would all be so much healthier. And the third way, the third question for the sick is, how long has it been since you've told your story? We have in this culture a heritage, a belief that to be stoic, to swallow it, to not express it is very heroic. And it's also very sickening. Now, there's a careful line that we have to walk, because I know you know people that live in their stories, that are anxious to tell their stories again and again and again and again. You know those people. And then you also know those people who stuff it all, who put on this brave face. And none of us are fooled. None of us are fooled. We see the pain. As we tell our story, and you know, they're doing new studies about military people who suffer from PTSD. In the past, they would just give them medication. But now they're discovering that the healing way for curing and allowing people to move past their PTSD is to tell their story, to live their story, to speak it, to speak it, to speak it, to speak it. And after we've spoken it again and again and again, it loses its heat. It has no place to hang. And it's allowed it to move out. So telling our story is healing. Not clinging to it, not living through it, not being a victim of it, but telling our story. And the fourth way to ask questions of the sick is to ask, when is the last time you listened to someone's story? We talked about that all last month, about listening. But the thing about it is that all stories have a universal truth, a commonality. And when we listen to other people's stories, we're able to make connections, to see similarities, to know that we're not alone. Other people's stories have our story within them. Your story is my story, and my story is your story. There are commonalities. And when we allow ourselves to listen to other people's stories, we can begin to heal our own lives, heal our own spots, our own sadness, our own brokenness. And for me, I've added this. The question is, when is the last time you cried? Tears are so healing. You know I believe in them. But here's the thing. When you cut yourself or hurt yourself, when you have an injury, you wash that injury. You cleanse it, you clean it, before you put the Band-Aid on it, before you allow it to heal. And that's the same with any kind of emotional pain. Any kind of emotional pain. It's stuck. you allow the tears to cleanse that space, to wash it clean, then the healing can begin. So that's another question for the sick. When is the last time you cried? I can't tell you how many people, now this is not, I'm not bragging, believe me. Can't tell you how many people have said to me, I really admire your ability to cry. I think that's very sad. I really believe it's very sad that this culture so demeans the emotion that we're born into this world with. The tears. That's the first expression of humanality. Babies are born crying. That's so natural. And yet, culturally, we shove it all down. People apologize for their tears. To me, that just says, really, you're human. Some people even apologize for their laughter. That's just saying you're human. So singing your song of laughter, dancing, listening to other people's stories, telling your story, and crying are so human. They're so healing. They're so powerful. And they connect us all. Just like laughter connects us. Tears connect us. Our stories connect us. And when we know that we are not alone, when we know that we are in our humanness, then the healing can begin. In a few minutes, we're going to have our meal together. I want to share this reading from Ernest Holmes. It's very brief. Ernest Holmes says, "Life is not something to be endured. It is to be lived in joy, in fullness without limits. My life consists of laughter, love, and happiness. If you cannot bring these three things to my table, then you're not welcome." So, given that, when we come together in community of sharing a meal, if you cannot bring love and laughter and happiness, then you're not welcome at my table. That's harsh, isn't it? In community, we will soon break bread. And you're welcome at the table. I love you all. Namaste. So I'd like to invite the practitioners to stand with me and join with me as we hold the consciousness. I invite you to go within and join me as I find that place where I am connected with all that is. That place where song and laughter, listening and stories and tears unite me, bring me closer with that universal essence that I call God. I allow myself to heal every spot that's filled with sadness, joy to bubble up. The energy of sadness to move aside and allow joy. To allow laughter. To allow the healing wash of tears. As I allow myself to be at peace, to be filled with joy, to be healed where it needs to be healed, where it needs to be made strong, where I listen to the powerful story of the divine. I allow good and more good, peace and more peace, love and more love, to energetically move through my life, through this space, through my heart, knowing at this moment each one of us is connected on the deepest level of the divine. We are God, sitting in this place, in this space. We are love expressing wholly and perfectly. We're celebration. We're joy. We're wellness, laughter. We are all that's good. And as I feel that, as I see it in my mind's eye, I know it is true. It cannot be otherwise. So I claim it all for each one present, for all of those that are not present this morning, but who belong to us in heart, mind, and spirit. To the whole entire humankind, the 7.5 billion of us that lives and loves and expresses in this divine outpouring of God. It's all one. It's all good. And I invite you to own that and claim it with me as we say together and celebrate. Thank you, practice. So we'll have another congregational song.